So this is sample 1 from sample book assignment 1. Our parallel lines are rows. So I have my 1 5 by 11 rectangle, and you're just gonna fold it in half. At like, I think that's hamburger style. Oh,
Yeah.
oh no, we didn't.
Yeah, no, you got it right.
I'm actually not gonna cut anything.
Yeah, like we didn't do that. So it does not matter which direction you have that fold. All it is we now have 2 layers of fabric, right? So I typically like to have mine back here. If it gets really annoying, you can press that really nice and flat, either with your fingers or if you want it really nice and pressed with an iron. I already pre-pressed my fabric so that it was flat. And so now we are just going to do our parallel rows with them being 1/4 inch apart, but we are going to be adjusting tension so that we can see what these different tensions look like. So if you don't remember, this little knob is where we're adjusting tension. If you turn it to the right, that tightens it, meaning that the tension is going to be tighter, more into that sausage casing territory. So the left loosens it, and it gets so loose it creates like loops that can lead to bird nesting. So you can just start wherever, because we're going to do some different ones. And then towards the end, just have it probably like all your nice consistent tension. So you can either do this with backstitching or without backstitching. And you can also like start later. So if you don't backstitch at the beginning and at the end, you'll want to leave 1 inch tails. So if you have it cut straight to the fabric and there's not a backstitch, it's going to start undoing itself. So you need the 1 inch tails. If they're a lot longer, then they start getting like tangled and in the way. So you just need to leave a tail, and then you can do that 1 inch like part later. So we're going to do 1/4 inch. So I'm lining this up with my 1/4 inch measurement. And then we're just going to go and do a straight stitch, keeping this at the 1/4 inch. Hand to the side. So if your first line starts to get really crooked, since we're using them as guidelines, it's just going to keep building up as you go further down. And if you need to get close enough, you can use your hand tool to keep doing enough stitches to your specific point. Make sure that your take-up lever is all the way at the top. Our needle is up. Presser foot can come up, and then we leave a tail since I didn't backstitch. Right, and so if I feel this, it's a little tight. So let's kind of see.
Can you do an example where you backstitch so we would know?
Yeah, I'm going to do that, yeah. Because now this next one, I'm actually going to go ahead so I can kind of see. I'm just going to go as tight as it's going to go just to show y'all. And so what you're going to do, line up your previous line with the edge of the presser foot. If you did it straight, that means these are now going to be straight if you keep following that. And you're just going to go. This one I'm not going to backstitch because it's going to be so tight. You're about to see why. Oh, is this one not? It was not as tight as I thought it was. So you can start to see on this very end where it was that really tight, where it's actually pulling the fabric in. So if I did that for the whole row, that's why I didn't backstitch, because then you could kind of, since it was tight, at least get some of the tension, because it actually scrunches up where it messes up the line. So let's take this back. Let's see here. So now I'm going to show you back stitching. So And once we're trying to start and stop at the same points. And so some people, if you want to, you can like draw a line with your tailor's chalk on both, because that way it just helps you practice. So with backstitching, some people like to think the more the better, the more secure. No, especially if you end up having to seam rip, you're just gonna hate yourself. So you only need 2 to 3 back stitches at the beginning and at the end. That's where most people mess up, is they do one or the other. If both are not secure, it can fall out and all your work can become undone. So we're just gonna go do 3 stitches, and then over here is where you back stitch. We're gonna press this lever down, and then you just count 2 to 3 stitches, and then you can release. If you need to, you can hold this and hand wheel. And now we just go forward to the other end at a speed that you feel comfortable with, you can control, and is consistent. Then when we get to the end, we're gonna back stitch 3 stitches, and then bring it back. Make sure our needle and our take-up lever is all the way up. And since we backstitch, I can go and trim these threads nice and close to the fabric. And so that is what the backstitch one feels like, or looks like. And then remember, we can go in and feel, like if it feels tight or loose, and adjust the tension as needed.